Okay, wanted to bring something to you guys that I've been thinking about for a long time. And it's actually a big issue that is going on all over the world, but especially here in America. And it's pretty evident that I did not start the video here. Okay, let's try that again. So I wanted to bring something to you that's been bugging me. And it seems to me that we are getting confused on what is fact and what is an opinion. And this is actually a very big deal because there is a big difference between facts and opinions. And when you watch the news, they give you about 30 seconds nowadays of actual facts, information. And then they talk for another 59 minutes and 30 seconds about their opinion and then start it over again. And we are getting confused about what is true and what is not true. And see, here's the thing, a fact is something that can be proven, it can be disproven. It works for me, it works for you, it works for the guy on the other side of the planet. It's something that happened, that there is significant amount of evidence of facts stating that this happened. And that is different than an opinion. An opinion is somebody's viewpoint. Guess what? We all have different viewpoints. By default, even your right eye and your left eye have a different viewpoint. And that's better. That gives you depth. It is okay to have different viewpoints. See, here we think that if somebody disagrees with our viewpoint, that we have to fight for it. Right? We have to fight for our opinion. And let's take a step back. Let's think about that. If I am looking at a tree and I am looking from one side and you are looking from the other side, by definition, we cannot see the whole tree by ourselves. We can only see one viewpoint of the tree. We have to rely on the person on the other side to give us more information. Now, we can be looking at the same tree and have completely different views on it. Does it make anybody right or wrong? See, that's the thing. We start fighting on what is right and what is wrong based on opinion, not on fact. And that's when we get into a lot of trouble. See, here's the thing. Let's back up and look. If I have a fact, we don't have to argue about it. See, here's the thing. We can argue whether or not water goes into a gas tank and a car would run on it. We have a gasoline engine, and somebody can say, no, you can put water in that gasoline engine and it will run. And we can debate about it, and we can argue about it, and we can go on TV, and we can all sit there and debate. And here's the thing that I find most fascinating is that people will debate things and act as if they win that debate, they're right. That their opinion becomes fact. And no matter how much you argue about the car needing water, not gasoline, it's irrelevant because we can put facts to it. We can try it. We've tried it. It's happened. Put gas in it, see what happens. I don't need to argue about that. See, that's the thing. People will argue an opinion thinking that if they're loud enough, that if they win the debate, or if they are willing to go to violence, that makes their opinion fact. That's the downfall. That's the problem. We kill steal, and destroy constantly because we think that if we win, that makes our opinion fact. In fact, it does not. It doesn't matter how many people you kill, your opinion still does not become fact. That is still your viewpoint, and everybody can have their viewpoint. And here's the thing, my viewpoint, if I'm looking at a tree and you're looking at the other side of the tree, I have a viewpoint. I have an opinion about that tree. I could say that tree looks beautiful and great and very healthy. And somebody could be on the other side and say, no, this tree is going to be dead in about 2 years. There's a giant crack up the middle. There's a big hole in it, and have a completely different viewpoint. And that doesn't discredit my viewpoint. That's the thing. We think that if somebody disagrees with us, has a different viewpoint, that discredits our viewpoint. And that isn't true. There is millions and billions of people on this earth that have completely different opinions, completely different beliefs than me, and it has no effect whatsoever on my life. And you can be like, oh, well, that's not true. That's not true. No, there's all these people and they're doing this and that and this and that and this and that. Wait a second. There's a difference between a viewpoint and what you do because of that viewpoint. Now, that is when we change from an opinion into action, which then creates a fact. When you do something that makes something, that changes, and it becomes very different. And when we don't attack each other for viewpoints, we can then take our viewpoint, do something with it, and turn it into a fact. See how that works? We take an opinion, we do something with it, and it turns it into a fact. Big difference. Because once we have facts, we have data, we have information, then we can do something. We can judge whether it's right or wrong. And that's the thing. We take opinions and we're going to judge this opinion whether it is right or wrong. Well, an opinion is nothing. It's just an idea. It's an idea in our head. It's not till you do something with it, turn it into a fact, and then we can judge that fact whether it's right or wrong, except for the fact that judging whether something is right or wrong is still an opinion. How about that? It is still an opinion. We judge whether something is right or wrong, but that is still based on our opinion. That's a big deal. That's a big deal because we argue and we kill, steal, and destroy in the name of our opinion because we think it's right. We think if we're right, that justifies just about anything. I was just watching these guys on TV and they're arguing about what's going on in the world and debating it. And one of them is a super serious debater. So I was watching these guys on TV debating things, and there's this one guy who's a serious debater. And he's getting all anxious and arguing, and they're talking over each other, and he's nitpicking the tiny pieces of the argument and say, no, you can't prove this tiny little sliver about what they're arguing about. As if that's going to change the facts. As if he can win that piece of the argument, then he will be right and then he will be justified. See, the thing is, we think if we are right, we are justified and we are superior, which then justifies us to do anything. Murder, killing, destroying has been justified for generations because somebody thinks they're right. And I did a video before about, we argue about being right. We get in a fight with our wife and we sit there and we argue because we are right. And we destroy our relationship. We fight and we make enemies of our wife because we're right. But in the end, do we win anything? I'm like, nobody's showing up. Nobody's showing up to give us a cookie. Like, hey, you won that argument. Here's a cookie. Well done. Well done. No, in the midst of destroying our relationship, what have we actually won? What have we won by being right? The feeling of superiority. We argue opinions so that we can be right, so that we can feel superior, which then superiority justifies anything. I can justify murder. I can justify destruction. I can justify anything if I feel superior. And that is so dangerous. And that is what's going on in our country and around the world, is people are using opinions as fact to justify all kinds of destruction. And you can say, hey, Brian, whoa. Hey, well, in that case, there's no right or wrong. It's all a debate. It's an opinion. If you can't say I'm right and you're wrong. See, here's the thing. We need to get out of an opinion. We need to go to facts. And then that fact gives us data, gives us information. And here's the two questions. Whenever we have a question of opinions, we have to ask two things. I'm trying to get my fingers in the screen here. Two questions. Does it work or does it not work? That's it. Like we can argue all day long, but if you're putting water in your gas tank, I don't need to argue with you. We can fire that sucker up and see what happens. Because that gives us, does it work or does it not work? And now we have to bring some morality, because things can work, but it could be destructive. And so we have to have morality in there. And we can debate that, and that is something we debate over and over and over again. But here's the thing. Without morality, we're just animals. And then it's just about getting your needs met. But getting your needs met will never last long, because if all we care about is getting our needs met, we will destroy. So here's the morality. Okay, so does it bring life or does it bring death? That's the second question. Does it work or does it not work? And does it bring life or does it bring death? Okay, and so let's define life, because death is pretty easy. Death is anything that's destructive, destroys, kills, steals. Death. Fairly easy. Life is something that brings goodness, hope. Life as in staying alive, right? Not death, the opposite. Love, peace, joy, righteousness, goodness, wholesomeness. I mean, the list goes on of what is life, but it's anything that benefits people, that brings people together in a way that is beneficial for everybody. Life is win-win. So if we take an opinion and then we do something with it to turn it into data, facts, we can look at that fact and we can say, does it work or does it not work? And two, does it bring life or does it bring death? See, That's the morality. That's the judgment that we should be making. It shouldn't be. Sorry about the halo on my head over here. The sun is just cracking right through the blinds, just enough. So anyway, we have to take an opinion. We have to do something with it, and then we have facts that we can judge. We can judge the facts, and then we judge the facts based on whether it works or doesn't work, and whether it brings life or brings death. See, that is how we need to work things. When we look at things, that's the process. I can take a belief, someone's opinion, and break it down in those aspects, and then I know what is good and what is bad. Because instead of opinion, because it doesn't matter. See, it doesn't matter what you believe. If you're a Muslim, a Christian, a Buddhist, a Hindu, a Jew, none of that matters to me. The question I have is what you do based on those beliefs. See, my neighbor is a great man. He's a guy. Well, I got a few neighbors. And they're all great people. Praise God. I love them all, and I will protect them all, and I will do what I can for them. But for as far as I'm concerned with them and me is how they treat me. Like I have a great neighbor, in case in point, who is not a believer in Christ, but he acts Christ-like. What he does, if I need help, he is there. He is always there. He goes above and beyond. So it doesn't matter to me if he doesn't believe in God and go to church and do all these things. He acts as if he does, in my opinion. And the way I view Christianity, he acts more Christ-like than most Christians do that I've dealt with in the past. So as a neighbor, what matters to me? What matters to me as a neighbor? That he's there for me when I need him. That he doesn't take my stuff. He doesn't steal my stuff. He doesn't break my stuff. Now, me and him have a great deal because he has tools, I have tools. We share, and we have that trust with each other that we're going to take care of each other. So that's what matters. What he believes on the grand scheme of things isn't that big a deal because of what he does. That's the key. I don't care what you believe. It's about what you do. And we can judge what you do based on, does it bring life and does it work or not? And we don't have to argue. There's no arguing. There's no fighting. There's no debating. We love to debate because we think that makes us right and then that makes us justified. But that's not true. That's not true. Facts are facts and opinions are opinions. And it depends on what we do with our opinion is what brings it to fact. I'm sorry I keep reiterating that. But what matters is what you do. And does it bring life or does it bring death? And that's the biggest thing. And if we take a minute and think that way, things will be very different. Because now we can have data, we can have information, and we can care for one another. That's what matters. More on this subject, we'll get back into it, but that's a good start.